What's going on, guys? It is week 9. Almost done with this season. This is the Wing 360 Sprint car at Volusia. If you can't tell by my voice, I am extremely exhausted. I have been running laps for... It's 1:30 in the morning right now, and I have been doing this since about 5:30, 6 o'clock p.m. And I took a couple hour break to eat some dinner. So, if you guys didn't know, I'm building the winged car insider setups for SSR right now. That way, Tommy can get the asphalt stuff kind of off the ground and running over there. And yeah, so still doing this for now, obviously. But Volusia, man, I dreaded this week all season because I was kind of worried all season long that I probably wasn't going to be able to bring you guys something very good. So I just, something about this track is just, it's so off to me. And it's kind of got that 3 tracks in one almost. You know, it's so flat up above the banking, and then it's got a decent amount of banking through the middle, and then on the bottom again, it's a little bit flat. So I tried testing here on an 80% track, and that's as high as the slick goes. I tried 100%, and the slick was even lower. It was just a darker black line. And so I went back to 80%, and the slick was back up a little bit higher. So obviously I can't like run the wall and practice that mountain of a cushion in 3 and 4. So it's really difficult to practice and build here. And you know, the slick kind of only builds up to where the banking ends, which is, you know, right through here where my mouse is at, and then it gets flat all the way out here. So does the same thing kind of in 1 and 2 up above here. It's nice and flat. And then you have these big humps right here getting into 3. And another one over here getting into 1. Big cushion buildup right there. You know, you can, when the track's not as slick, you can kind of enter on it. But other than, you know, maybe 15 laps into the feature, it gets pretty hard to enter on this line right here. And I've done my best to try and build something here that won't unsettle the car so much, but I don't know. At this point, I'm not even sure it's possible. So just a lot of frustration, I guess you could say. And you can see here, you kind of just have to run below it. You know, this is kind of like your line you have to be. You can't be up here because it'll just toss you to the left. So that's if you're running the top here. Also, the other thing I wanted to mention was the setup. I put 28 top wing in it just because, and I'm pretty sure 19 is enough to make it if you run around the top the whole way. You might need 20, but I don't think so. But yeah, I put 28 top wing in it because it seemed like top wing angle was the only thing like keeping the car kind of stable. And I didn't want to go 30 because I've done 30 here before, and that just slows the car down a ton. So what I've done here is try to build something that will run the top, you know, when it's there. But more importantly, when this track goes back down to the bottom in this middle line, I wanted you guys to have something that you would have plenty of drive through that part of the track and be able to stick the bottom or stick 1 lane up. I'm sure you guys, you know, if you've been on here long enough, you'll know that Volusia will, you know, it'll form a little bit of marbles. And, you know, to be more specific, it's really flat right here, this 1 lane, this 1 lane of moisture that you can see. So I guess in a way, the pre-gen being so bad is kind of a blessing in disguise, because you can see where the banking's at. The banking's right here, you know, probably tire width above where the slick's at right there. And then the banking stops right here where the slick is. So you're flat here and you're flat up here, and then you have banking. So when this line goes all the way up to the wall and it's, you know, a super long way around the track, it'll move back down to the bottom. And once this goes away, there's not going to be this thick of a line of moisture in the future, and there's not going to be this thick of a line of moisture on the top in the future either. So this track is just hard to, the representation in the pre-gen is awful, so it's hard to kind of explain it. But once this goes, this gets too thin down here, and this gets too thin way out here on the wall, this one lane up, kind of right through here, comes in, and there'll be some marbles here, and you can kind of run it. But the thing with that is you've got to kind of enter wider than this, wide, and then kind of not cut down into it, but like sort of cut down into it, and then just drive off, down the track, keeping your momentum down the track. And I tried to give you guys something that would be able to do that. Again, you're going to be you're going to be right here basically where I hit the wall and then push myself up. So yeah, I'll show you my fastest lap here on the bottom just real quick. The car turned in nicely to the bottom of one. You'll see sometimes when the car and I didn't even hit 3 and 4 that good, but you'll see sometimes the car will get a little unsettled down here on 1 and 2. You'll hit kind of like a hole, or like it'll be really flat, so it might push you tight, and the car will stop rotating on you. And let me see if I can find a lap where it does it. No, I just missed it here. Pretty good bite on that one. This is where I started entering a little wider. Let's go back up here. Maybe we'll see it a little bit here. So there, like the car gets a little, you're nice and rotated, ready to stick the bottom, and then the car just bounces up a little bit, and you kind of get, it comes unpinned basically, and you push up a little bit. The front end goes right, and you push out a little bit, and you kind of get in this line of slick. When there's a whole line here of moisture, you want to avoid that as much as possible. And that's why some of these laps are so inconsistent from, 2s and 4s and 3s. So a 1, a 0, another 4, 3, and then a random 8, another 8, a 9. So that's why these laps are so inconsistent, because the bottom here is pretty tricky. I mean, you could see there, boom, I nailed the bottom, 1 and 2. The car didn't hit that bump and didn't unsettle, and I was able to stick down there. A nice wide entry here to 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, late apex, and then stayed out underneath the slick on the exit. Here again, I tried to do what I did the previous lap and drive it in there hard to keep the car rotated, and it slid out of the groove. So, consistency is going to win races this week, more so than setup, I think. And you could see all the marbles form. I mean, I only ran, let's see, I ran 38 laps in this session, and probably 20-ish of those were on the bottom, and just my car alone has formed quite a bit of marbles through here. So when this line on the bottom gets too slick, and this goes away down here, you don't have this entire car width of grip, you will be following those marbles through the middle, and entering wide and then sticking on them and driving down, keeping your momentum going forward. And again here, marbles through here where my mouse is, marbles, 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 marbles. And when there's marbles there, you can get a lot of grit, or you can get a lot of throttle going in the slick. So just remember that. You might be driving in the slick, and consciously that, but give it a little more throttle, see what the car can handle in there, and kind of go from there. I didn't go 30 wing, like I said. Max here for me is always been 28. 30's a lot, it seems like. So, technically this is a half mile. It's kind of a small half mile when you run the bottom, but the added downforce for the tricky backstretch and the tricky bottom is more beneficial than the straightaway speed you might give up, because the straightaways are pretty bumpy here, and adding downforce in the straightaways is kind of beneficial sometimes here. So Not gonna go all the way up to 30, but I am gonna go up to 28, like I mentioned. Um, and yeah, I mentioned in the Discord, I tried 6 bump here and 2-inch shim here to combat, try and combat that big snap turn in on the wall up here in 3 and 4, or yeah, entering 3, and it still does it. So I tried. What else did I try? 6, 4 or something ridiculous. Like I don't remember. I tried a 3-7 on this side. Still turns you in. Still snaps you into the corner. So if you just hit it wrong, it's gonna do it. Basically, it seems like I can't. I couldn't figure out a way to get rid of it. Um, Originally, I was running like 26 wing, and it was doing it even worse. So then I bumped it up a couple clicks, and it was a little bit more settled. Um, thing about this track is you've got to keep the car loose enough to run the bottom and loose enough to run the top, because the top is so flat and the bottom's so flat that you need the car pretty loose to run both of those. But when it gets up in here in these marbles and stuff, my wing is only on -2 here running these laps, and I've got the right rear kind of in the slick a little bit, but I'm just kind of controlling the throttle when I need to. Obviously, there's going to be more slick than that on the exit of 2, I think, on the bottom. But yeah, you've got enough wing position to pull it back if it gets too loose for you, when these marbles form, and you can pull the wing back and be okay. I don't generally like a 549 for running the bottom, but I think this race for like more than half, 15 to 20 laps, might be around the top, just depending on how many cars have showed up and how what kind of laps everybody's running early on. If they're running a lot on the bottom, it might not be there. So 549 is kind of the happy medium. I'd probably, if I was committing to the bottom, I'd probably look at a 555 and just get a little bit more acceleration off the bottom coming out of 2 and 4, and a little bit more engine braking as well once you lift getting into 1 and 3. So that's something to think about as well. Or if you're gonna just you're gonna go out and try and rail the top for 30 laps, 542 or 534 might be the right answer for you. But I try to keep it right there in the middle at 549, so you could kind of play with it and try it out for yourself and see how you like these different gears. But yeah, around the top, if there's quite a bit of moisture, you could run 24 wing with no problem. And if the bottom comes in or something, you might just have to pull it back a little bit. But yeah, between 26 and 28 wing is generally my wing angle for this track, because it kind of feels like a small track in some ways, especially when running the bottom, like I said. But yeah, not much else to say. It's my I've said it so many times, and I'll say it again. This track is just, it's my kryptonite, man. I can't stand this place. I wish they would rescan it. I don't know why it's so flat on the top, and why they haven't. I mean, there's some pretty big races run at Volusia every year, and it'd be nice to see them go back down there. And I don't know if they would need a full rescan or how they would have to do it, but give us a little bit more banking around this whole track. This place would be pretty cool. This is supposed to be the fastest half mile in the world, right? So, and on iRacing, it's kind of one of the slowest, it feels like. So, and it can be fun sometimes, but running marbles through the middle and stuff like that ain't always the funnest line. But anyhow, that's it for this week. Like I said, that you can try making a couple adjustments to the car if needed, and if you find something better that works, hey, let me know, or throw it in the community setup folder that I made in the Discord this past week, and we'll all get a shot at it and see if maybe we can handle that backstretch a little bit better. But you guys take care, have fun this week. Let me know how the officials go and how the setup feels, like always, and take care.